Hey there and welcome to the Weaver's World. Today I will show you how to create a character in Ryuutama, a very wholesome Japanese RPG I already covered on this channel. You will see the link down in the description and probably pop up here if I can remember to put it there. And with me today I have a new player who wants to create their first Ryuutama character.
That's me.
That's you, exactly. So this box here, I know it says your quote here, but usually this is where you would put your character picture. The Ryujin is the Game Master's character, so you don't need to fill that out right now. Character name, level, experience, gender, etc. That will come later. The first and most important thing probably is your class. Your class is, well, like in any other RPG, what your character is good at and what they do. The basic classes in the core rulebook are the minstrel, who is a bit like a bard, traveling, maybe a singer, a storyteller, or a dancer. We have the merchant, who is good at making money and usually wants to make money. So, a merchant character would probably travel from town to town to buy the local specialties and sell them at a higher price somewhere else. You have the hunter, who usually hunts either monsters or animals and is good at surviving in the wilderness. You have the healer, who may be a doctor or maybe someone who is good with herbs. The farmer, who is a bit of a jack of all trades, but master of none. You have the artisan, which is usually someone who is good at, crafting, so like a cobbler maybe, or a blacksmith or a cook. And you have the noble, who is maybe a prince or a count or something to that effect. Usually they are very good in social situations and can fight a little.
So I have two different character concepts and I'm not sure which one I like most, so I'm just going to describe them to you and you can tell me which one you like best. I think the first one would be a hunter or huntress in that case. So the idea of that is that this character comes from a very weird part of the world. Weird in the sense that basically everything is inverted when it comes to danger level. So meaning fauna and flora, both of it, everything we like, which is nice and cute and cozy, is extremely dangerous and poisonous and deadly. And stuff we think is very much dangerous can be kept as a pet, basically. This is my first character concept. My second character concept, I guess, could be a noble maybe, but like the idea of that character is that this person has a horse and the horse is more intelligent than the person I'm actually playing.
I'd say let's go with the hunter, both because I like that idea more and because an intelligent horse, I mean, it's a nice idea and all, but that would be kind of hard to play with the basic rule set. And since this is for beginners, let's go with the huntress, if that's all right with you.
No, that's fine.
All right, then I'll just put in huntress. You'll also see you can get a second class later, but that's for a higher level. Then we have your character's type. A type is basically what area they excel in. There are three kinds of types, basically. There's the attack type, which is good if you want to play a fighter. You have the technical type, who is a bit more, tricks and thinking outside the box. And we have the magic type. The magic type, well, they can use magic. Using magic in Ryuutama doesn't take, like in Dungeons & Dragons, for instance, long studies or some pact or something. Some characters can just do it, at least in the basic world. Of course, you can create your own world where that's different.
Yeah, okay, magic is nice and everything, but this doesn't fit the character at all, so I'm going to exclude that. Which means, since I'm picturing her more like a survivalist type, I would go for technical, I guess.
All right. Again, you can choose a second type later with a higher level, but let's go with technical for now. The technical type, every type has 3 advantages. The technical type allows you to get a bonus if you concentrate, which is a mechanic in Ryuutama. You have 1 higher initiative, which is here. We'll get to that later. And your carrying capacity, noted here, is a bit higher because you have deep pockets, basically. So now we'll go to your class skills. You get those from being a hunter. The hunter, like any other, gets 3 class skills. The first one is called animal tracking. The animal tracking skill allows you to see if there's any monster around that you can maybe hunt, and you get a bit of a bonus fighting against them because, you know, you prepared to fight them. Animal tracking, there's always 2 stats that I used. We'll get to how you allocate those stats later, but for now I'll just put them in here. Of course, this might help you, you know, thinking about how you want to allocate your stats, because if you, let's say you want to be very good at animal tracking, then strength and int would be the most important attributes for you. Then we have trapping, which is about using monsters or animals you slew to, you know, gain maybe their fur or their horns. I mean, if your character comes from the lands as you described, then maybe she's good at harvesting rabbit pelts to show that she's a warrior.
I have a coat made of butterfly wings.
Oh god.
I'm a real badass.
I'm just imagining her now seeing someone who, you know, has maybe a dinosaur skull on their head and she calls him a coward.
Really? Yes.
All right, and we have hunting. That basically makes it possible for you to hunt for animals to use as food. Maybe some rabbits, you know, just to show your badass. There's also, you know, always a short effect description, but I'll not put that in for now. But of course, if you want to, you know, just so you can remember what it does, you could put that in here. There's also 3 more, because as we discussed earlier, you can get a second class later. Then you get, of course, three more class skills. All right, I'll just put in this here for later reference, because you have a technical type. So now we'll go to your ability scores. Ability scores basically done in sets in Ryuutama, so it's not like, you know, you can freely allocate them by a pool or something. There's 3 sets you can choose from. The first one is called the average set, which means you just have a 6 in every attribute. You'll see that there's a D in front of it, which means if you have a 6 in an attribute, you roll a 6-sided die to see how good you are at it. And of course, the higher that attribute is, the higher you can potentially roll. But
so it's not about getting some kind of threshold value. It's about basically rolling those 2 stats and then just adding the numbers.
Exactly. You still need to meet a threshold in some cases, but yeah, usually it's just those 2 stats. You roll the dice, add them up, and see where you end up. The second set is the standard set, which means you have a 6 in 2 attributes, an 8 in 1 attribute, and a 4 in another attribute. And you have the specialized set, which means you have 2 attributes at 4 and 2 attributes at 8.
Yeah, you will need to tell me what those do before I tell you anything about
All right, so the first one, STR, the strength, is your character's physical power, their stamina, and their endurance. So if you want to play a very buff character, this is the attribute for you. Your dex is your dexterity, which is your speed, nimbleness, and lightness of foot, so more of an athletics thing. The intelligence or int score is your power of judgment, thought, and memory, so for, you know, smart characters basically, although not necessarily learned. You know, you could play a character who's never seen a school but is still very intelligent. And the spirit score, or SPI, is your focus, bravery, and strength of conviction, which I guess your character should have at least at a 6 if she has a coat made out of butterflies.
Okay, so I'm thinking about... Now I'm just looking at what I have right now, and there's no SPI anywhere. So for what do I need that?
SPI usually has to do a lot with magic, which of course isn't your type, so that's out of the window. Condition, which is another mechanism in Ryuutama, which basically determines how good you feel any given day, is also done with a spirit roll. Condition is normally rolled every day when you wake up, and if you have a high condition roll, it also says that here, you are basically in top shape, in your best condition, and you can't wait to start the day. So if you don't have a high spirit, it's unlikely that you ever get this bonus here, and it might even be that your condition is very bad, which has some repercussions.
Let's say I want to have a bow in the end, because that's what I would think or something. What attribute would I need? Dexterity, I guess?
A bow uses your int and your dex score, and int, as we can see, is very important to you already as a hunter, or huntress, I should say.
Then I'm going to take the standard set, and I'm going to put strength at 4,
All right.
dex at 8, and the other 2 at 6.
All right, there we go. That, of course, then we have your HP, which is your strength times 2, so I'll just put that there. Then we have your MP, which is your spirit times 2. We'll skip that for now, the fumble points. Then we have your initiative, which is your dex plus your int, so that's 14 plus 1 because you are a technical type, makes 15.
I'm very proud of you for doing that math correct.
And your carrying capacity is your strength, which is 4, and since you are a technical type and have very deep pockets, you can carry an additional load of 3, so that's 7.
I am not wearing a dress, mind you.
Then we'll get to your mastered weapon. You can choose one weapon that you are very, very proficient at, which is denoted here.
I have a short bow.
All right, let's just put bow in there. Then you will get a personal item, which is an item that has very high significance for your character.
The butterfly wing coat, obviously.
All right, so this personal item usually doesn't have, you know, any advantages. It's just an item that gives your character a bit of depth. Other examples include stuff like an amulet with the image of your loved one or something like that, or maybe a weapon your grandfather gave you or something. But yeah, let's go with the coat. I like that idea. And now we'll get to a shop for your character. You'll get, there are 2 levels or 2 rules basically about how to do this. I usually go with that every character gets 1,000 pieces of gold to shop with. Obviously, I won't list everything that you can buy right here because, let's be honest, you should buy the rulebook. I'm not going to put the whole rulebook in this. So let's just see. If you want a bow, we can start with that, I guess. A bow would cost you 750 gold pieces.
Oh, that's fine. That means that I'm completely out of money, and so I can't buy a lot anyways.
All right, I'll just put the stats for the bow in here. And the damage, there we go. All right, so that's just a simple short bow.
I think you should put the spaces away because it skips them.
Yeah, still. But if you click on the plus sign here, or not.
Can you hit enter when you're in that? Does that work? Ah, damn.
Well, anyway. I mean, it's you can still see that it needs something there, so yeah. So we could just say, of course, let's just put the rest of the money on the side. Maybe you want to buy something later, or is there something that you think your character needs that
depends solely on how much is my base equipment. I mean, if I have to buy my weapons, I guess, what do I have to buy? Do I not have shoes if I don't buy shoes?
You usually have shoes and clothes. They just don't add any bonuses. Certain shoes, there's a system in Ryuutama which concerns itself with where you travel and what the weather is. So if you just have ordinary shoes, they protect your feet from blisters, but that's about it. If you want to have, let's say, snowshoes, they would add a bonus if it snows or in a blizzard. Those would cost money.
So I would guess my character comes from a region where there's a lot of woods. So is there anything which would help me in this terrain? Because I would guess that my character would have something like that.
I think maybe something along the lines of maybe a walking stick or something, or a hiking staff, just to help you get through those woods a little bit better.
I think that's exactly the wrong thing, right? Because there's a lot of, if it's a jungle, a stick would limit my mobility.
Yeah, it usually doesn't work like that. equipment just can give you a bonus. It cannot hinder you. So even if you have snow boots, even if you, just travel through the desert, then it just doesn't give you any bonuses. It doesn't, cause you to overheat.
Yeah, still doesn't make sense to me, so I don't want it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. In that case, I'm afraid most of the stuff that would come useful to you is more costly than you can afford right now, because a bow is a very expensive weapon.
No, then I'm just naked. That's fine.
As I said before, you have ordinary clothes. They just don't give any bonus to you. Clothes. So let's just, I don't think there's, let's put it in notes, all right?
Yes.
All right. With that out of the way, we can go to your character details. So your character's name, their gender, and their age. And afterwards, we can, of course, create the town your character comes from, which is one of the main selling points of Ryuutama. You don't need to think of a name right now if you, like to research names, as I do. But at least, well, I mean, her gender is obvious. We've already established that. And maybe her age, just so you know.
But we're like playing humans, right? So this is...
Mostly, yeah. There's you can play another race of characters, the so-called Neko Goblins, but that's an optional rule. So let's just go with humans.
Yeah, so I'm picturing her as more of a teenage character, I guess. So like one of those people who, let's just say 17 or something.
All right, let's make her 17. It's not just a face mom. This is who I am.
I was more thinking like this character needs to prove herself.
I mean, she has a butterfly coat.
Yes,
isn't that proof enough?
Yeah, but like the outsiders scoff at that, and she doesn't understand it. How can they?
All right, and then she sees all those people who, have dinosaur skulls on their heads or wear pelts from polar bears, and she just thinks, oh, those people are all cowards, and they think that's a virtue.
Maybe.
All right.
So character name, normally I would now go for a character name generator, so I think we can just leave that.
All right. Then let's go to the town creation. The town creation basically allows you to customize the town your character hails from. So, I mean, the first thing, of course, is the town name, but as we said, maybe we can skip that for now, unless you have an idea of the name for your character's town.
Is there some kind of naming convention? So Ryuutama is a name that is very Japanese. Obviously, this comes from Japan. So are those towns more like from that kind of language, or is it like really wild?
It's anything goes, really. If you want a town to be Japanese inspired, go for it. It can be inspired by Spain or by Germany or anywhere you want, really. It's a generic fantasy scenario where anything goes. It's your world.
Okay. Yeah, but like, as I said, I'm not creative with names.
All right, then let's go towards the town population. You don't need to put a number there, but is it a small? Is it just a few huts? Is it a very big town with thousands of people?
It's like a 150 people thing, I guess. Like.
All right, I'll just put that there.
It's not big. It's more like a village.
All right, so I'll just put roughly 150 people there. Then we get to the ruler or representative. Again, that doesn't need to be a specific person, but how is that person chosen? Is it maybe a hunting contest to see who's the
bravest?
The bravest, thank you. The bravest. Is it the eldest? Is it a council of people? Or are they just, anarchy?
I'm for a council of people because I'm pro-democracy normally. But on the other hand, of course, seeing that I have this weird mechanic with fauna and flora, I would maybe say that the council is chosen by some kind of courage test or something like that.
So if you want to be a part of the council, you need to kill a rabbit with your own hands or something.
I guess this village only exists because no one actually dares to go there. I guess that's the only reason why something like that would even exist.
All right, then we have the environment, which of course you already established. Whoops, I'll just put that there. So the environment basically...
It's like a jungle. It's basically like some kind of wild jungle where there's no one around except for these silly people, basically. Yeah.
I think that sums it up nicely, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
All right, then we have the representative buildings. Doesn't need to be the building where the council is located necessarily, but maybe there's, you know, a statue commemorating the first man or woman to slay a rabbit or something like that. Or maybe someone even killed, I don't know, a gnat or a horsefly.
Yeah, but like I was more thinking about maybe this village is not really on the ground, but more like in the trees or something, like a village made out of tree houses. I mean, not like the child level of tree houses that I would maybe build if I was trying that, but more like I was thinking a little bit like the wood elves in The Lord of the Rings. Not that elven like, but
So more like the Evox, just big.
yeah, more like Ewoks without trying to sell toys to children.
All right, so maybe the representative building in this case would actually be a tree, you know, like the biggest tree in the jungle they have built their houses around or on.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have a city, if you have a town in the trees, I would guess they are connected somehow with bridges or so, and maybe this is the central pillar. So, but you could say it's maybe the hall where people actually have their meetings. I mean,
So the council.
yeah, let's just do it. The council tree.
All right. Then we have the specialty goods, so something your town is known for, either because that's their main export or because, you know, if you meet anyone who's ever heard of that town, they would ask you about that.
And this has to be something, some kind of thing you can actually buy, like some kind of material or some kind of,
Yeah, some kind of material or maybe something that is produced there which cannot be produced anywhere else or isn't usually.
That's a good question. I'm guessing that this village is not very industrial. So
Might I make a suggestion actually?
yeah, sure.
Because as we have already established, the danger level of everything is inverted there, so maybe they keep some very dangerous animals as pets,
that's a good
and
thing.
you know, if they die of old age or something, or they are slaughtered, maybe you know to sell tiger pelts to people who think, oh, who want to appear as if they are very courageous, and in fact they just basically bought some sheepskin.
Yeah, something along that lines would make sense, yes. You could, of course, also say, seeing that everything is inverted, that would mean that plants that are normally poisonous are not poisonous there, which means it could be like a wide array of herbal medicine or teas or something like that do not make any sense in any other part of the world because it's just dangerous to eat that. But in this case, it's not.
So something like this.
They work, yeah. It just works. It's magic.
It's magic. I don't have to explain it. All right, then let's go to the sights, sounds, and scents, the 3 S's. So if someone were to visit that village and not die immediately because they think, oh, it's just a fly, what would they see? What kind of sounds would they hear? And what smell would be the one they immediately learn to associate with the town?
Well, I guess sights is, I think, I would guess that most other towns are more located on the grounds, meaning there's like a lot of So you know that this crown shyness, which is this phenomenon that trees do not actually touch when you look in the sky. I guess you
Yeah.
have this ceiling of trees, and you have the most likely wooden houses that are very much incorporated into the trees, and sounds would be likely, of course, the wind in the leaves and the sound that ropes make, maybe when they get pushed around by the wind. Yeah, then the question is, of course, so seeing that fauna and flora is inverted, that would mean there's a lot of different plants which you normally don't see, because people normally don't have it in their houses. Which, I mean, plants can, of course, also smell.
Yeah, quite pleasantly or unpleasantly, depending.
That's a good question. How would that work? I mean, there are those flowers that just smell like rotten corpses. So do they do that as well, or are they just really, really nice?
I think maybe most plants we think of as smelling, nice are things like roses or orchids or daisies, and they would be poisonous in that context. So maybe there's just, well, I summed it already up as odd plant smells, so not necessarily unpleasant, but it doesn't smell like roses, and that's a bit weird for people who are not used to it. And if they ask, well, why don't you raise roses? Roses? Are you mad? Do you want us to die?
Yeah, and of course, I mean, so what would also contribute to the sides thing would, of course, be I don't think that these people will dress as other people do, because they have different materials, they have different things they want to project. Seeing if they have a council formed by people that are very courageous, they will have some kind of. I don't want them to have like an archaic culture. But I guess for an outsider, at least how they dress might look a lot like that. Seeing as if courage in the face of danger is a virtue, then you will wear those butterfly wings.
That's right. So seemingly archaic. They are a bit odd to outsiders, but not as primitive as they seem at first glance.
Yeah, I would. That's the thing. I don't think of them as primitive. They're just different.
Yeah, as I said, they may seem primitive to outsiders, but they are anything but.
Yes.
All right. And lastly, the town will have some sort of threat that can be internally, people scheming against the council or something, or externally, because there's, let's go to the butterflies again. There's a big swarm of butterflies.
Is this meant in a way? Is this a threat to the people in the town, or is this a threat to someone who might travel to this town? Because that is a difference here.
That's basically up to you. I mean, it's your city. You can create it any way you want. A good rule of thumb is it should make for a potentially good adventure if the group ever comes to that town.
Yeah, I mean, the base level threat of this town is that if you come there and you think you know anything about nature, you're f***ed, because everything you know is wrong. So this is like the general base threat, I would say. If we now wanted to craft some kind of threat that goes more in depth, I think I'm not so for some kind of intrigue, because it's a 150 people village. It's small. Doesn't make. I don't think this is so funny with such a small amount of people. Maybe. What could we do?
Yeah, maybe some new predatory animal has shown up, like, there's a sheep plague or something.
Oh, can we? Oh, okay, it's not sheep, it's cows, and they're mad. Like, the mad cows. Yes. And they Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right, so there's a lot of cows currently, and the elders are very, very worried about that because, as everyone knows, cows are poisonous, carnivorous monsters.
Are they poisonous? Not everything needs to be poisonous.
Yeah,
Cows.
but they are very, very
The
dangerous.
milk of the female cows is very much poisonous, and you cannot drink that.
Of course, they are also very aggressive and have rows of sharp teeth.
I kind of see that, yeah.
All right.
I mean, look, they have 4 stomachs. Meat is not very easy to digest, okay?
That's right, especially not if they mainly eat butterflies and sheep.
As long as
Gotta filter out those toxins somehow.
I see.
All right, and yeah, that's about it. So we have your city, we have your character, and with that out of the way, we are basically ready to play.
Great. Now I just need to find my character name generator and get some kind of
and the town name. We still also need that, but this is something to do off camera, I guess. So thank you very much for your help.
You're welcome.
And thank all of you out there for watching. If you have any questions about Ryuutama, ask them down in the comments. If you liked this video, I would be very happy if you showed this to me by, liking this video, subscribing to my channel. And if there's any other system you want to see covered on this channel, tell me. I'm always open for suggestions. Until then, bye-bye.